You're looking for Predator, aren't you?
Yes.
Ah.
Hey y'all, welcome to Ryan and Robert Rants. We are continuing our ranked series for Predator. Robert, which one we doing today?
We are doing Predator 2. Yeah, this one's starring Danny Glover and, of course, the late, great Bill Paxton.
R.I.P. King. I
Yeah,
miss
gone
him,
too
dude.
soon. Yeah, that
I
one was
miss him so much.
sudden. At
Yeah.
least I felt like it was sudden because he was in that. I think he was in a show on like CBS or something. And then that show ended up having to
Yes.
get canceled because, I mean, you lost your lead like literally
Yeah.
mid season.
Yeah,
But yeah,
man, he was one of the ones that it hit me hard. It was
yeah.
just like, oh, like, no, like, this freaking great guy. But alas, in his
Yes.
honor, Predator 2. So yes, we're gonna be continuing the ranked series today with what Robert just said, Predator 2. So if you haven't seen the first one, definitely go back and watch that. It is now live. And as we have in all of our previous ranked series and the previous episode as well, we will be spoiling this movie because we're going to do a deep
Yes.
dive.
Yep.
So if you haven't, you have been warned. So, just like we normally do, let's go ahead and just jump right into it with the plot. Robert, tell me about Predator 2.
Alrighty. This one's probably going to be a little longer. I feel like this one, I would say like, I don't know. You kind of have to get into a lot because there's a lot that kind of goes on like to set up where we get to the end. But yes, this movie, while being made in 1990, takes place in 1997, 10 years after the events of the first one. And this one kind of opens up with a what we think is like another jungle setting, but the camera starts to slowly pan up, and alas, it subverts our expectations, and it has the skyline of Los Angeles. Well, I know, woo, woo. But yes,
In
so
the
we open up.
90s.
I know, in the '90s, and kind of I would say like like a kind of a neo noir ish futuristic, whatever. Los Angeles, where LA is experiencing kind of a heat wave and is going through like a turf war between the Colombian and Jamaican drug cartels. I don't know if those drug cartels are actually in Los Angeles, but this is a sci-fi movie, guys. But a predator, or also known as a yautja, watches a shootout between the police and these drug cartels, and is observing a Lieutenant Michael R. Harrigan. This is our lead, Danny Glover, who comes in, who takes kind of the lead over this role after like negotiations between the studio and Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of didn't pan out. The studio didn't want to pay him an extra $250,000 to come back, and we get Danny Glover. So all good. But yes, Harrigan kind of charges into the firefight. Guns ablazing. Kind of a cool scene where he backs the car and knocks his car door off, and I don't know. It's kind of 90-ish action, but it's kind of cool. But yes, he kind of gets into the middle of this firefight to rescue some police that are kind of, I guess, down, and they're like stuck in no man's land between the drug cartels. So he ends up going in there so they can save his downed fellow police officers. Um, yeah, so the Predators watching all this, and the police ends up driving the Colombians into their hideout. The Yautja assaults the Colombians, causing a disturbance that prompts Harrigan and Detective Leona Cantrell and Danny Archuleta to defy their superiors' orders about entering this hideout. But they end up finding all the Colombians in this warehouse slaughtered, as per the work of a Yautja. On the roof, the crazed gang leader kind of gets a glimpse of the shimmer because the predator's using his cloaking device, so he gets his like a thing of the shimmer, and he ends up shooting at the predator. And of course, Harrigan thinks that he's kind of pulling his gun on him, so Harrigan, shoots the gang leader, and he kind of falls to his death in a kind of a funny. It's a little comical. Um, but yes, back at the station, after all this kind of settles down, back at the station, Harrigan is getting reprimanded by his boss. Typical Danny Glover in a cop role, just always doing things he's not supposed to. He doesn't have Mel Gibson in this one. But he's introduced to a special agent, Peter Keyes. That this is played by Gary Busey, who kind of reunites in this film because they were in the first Lethal Weapon together, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he kind of comes in, but he's a leader of a task force that's investigating the cartels, so we think. And we're also introduced to Detective Jerry Lambert, played by the Bill Paxton, but he kind of transferred in and is now part of Harrigan's team. So later that evening, the Jamaicans invade the Colombian drug cartel, his penthouse, participating in some fun activities with his, I guess, mistress, whatever she is. Anyways, and they end up murdering him by performing like some voodoo ritualistic kind of killing. But the Oucha ends up, showing up and kind of slaughtering everybody in the room except well, the female, right? The one that was, that was there. Anyways, upon when the police arrive when all this goes down, the police arrive. Harrigan's team they notice similarities between this one and the scene at the beginning of the movie, and including the how the Yautja kind of flay their corpses and leave them strung up. So they notice that, and then Key's team arrives and removes Harrigan and his team. Archuleta, part of Harrigan's team, he ends up returning alone, and he finds one of the predators, the tip of the spear, the tip of the spear. Um, he ends up finding the tip before the creature comes in and kills him because can't leave anything, no evidence behind. Harrigan, who's enraged, he vows to stop Archuleta's killer, and the forensic analysis on this spear tip, it's not composed of any known element on the periodic table, and it says so on this computer monitor that literally says unknown element, just flashing. It's very kind of like a plot thing where it's just like, here you go, audience, like we need to tell you and show you. Seeking answers, Harrigan meets with the Jamaican drug lord King Willie, who's a voodoo practitioner who believes the killer is supernatural and that he should prepare himself for battle against it. Him, Harrigan. Um, Harrigan leaves King Willie after getting, nothing, no real information, to be honest. Leaves, and the predator kind of stumble or jumps into the alley that they're in and kills King Willie, leaving his head as a trophy. Tracing a lead indicating Archuleta's killer had recently been in the slaughterhouse, Harrigan arranges to meet his team at the warehouse district to investigate. This is the slaughterhouse and Keyes' team. Cantrell and Lambert take the subway there, but they are ambushed by the Oucha, who kills Lambert and numerous armed passengers, but spares Cantrell after. Yeah, after, and this scene's pretty good. Like, this scene's pretty brutal. Um, but the Ouch's like heat, the thermal scanner indicates that Cantrell's pregnant, and this, yes, Bill Paxton has been killed by the Terminator, by a xenomorph, and a predator. I think is uh, if you want to get technical, one of two in the live action, but I think Michael Biehn, since he voiced in Predator Killer of Killers, I think he was also now on that thing, if you count voice acting as well. But yes. uh, all right, where was I? Yes, sis. So arriving in time to see it claim Lambert's head, Harrigan chases the fleeing predator, but Keyes' men intercept him. Keyes revealed that the monster is an extraterrestrial hunter with infrared vision and active camouflage that has been hunting humans for sport, which, that makes him a hunter, not a predator.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, this is where we get a little bit of information like prior in the one in Central America, which, kind of ties back into Dutch and the events from the first movie. Keyes and his team have set a trap in a nearby slaughterhouse using thermally insulated suits with mounted ultraviolet lights and cryogenic weapons to capture it for study. However, the suspicious predator, upon hearing their footsteps, uses its scanner to track, outmaneuver, and slaughter all of Keyes' men in their lights. So, got a smart Yautja as well. Harrigan, kind of goes Rambo on the situation. He attacks and wounds the predator, but it ends up destroys his weapons, Harrigan's weapon. It appears to finish him off before Keyes tries to freeze the creature, but the predator kills Keyes by throwing a smart disc at him. So we also get some new weaponry in this film, which is kind of cool. The predator then chases Harrigan to the roof, where they clash until they are left hanging from a ledge. The creature activates a self-destruct device on his forearm, which Harrigan severs with the disc, that smart disc, disarming, basically, literally disarming Yautja,
Yeah.
literally disarming him. Uh, so the Yautja then enters an apartment where it kind of treats its wounds. It's kind of a almost hilarious scene where he's just like yelling, and like the neighbors in the surrounding room are like kind of like, what is going on? It's typical LA stuff, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've seen and heard worse.
Yeah. It is the
But
90s.
Harrigan, I know, right? You can kind of say that about any decade, really, in LA. But Harrigan then pursues the Yautja to a spacecraft hidden underground and engages it in combat, ultimately killing the Yautja with its smart disc. Just then, a small group of cloaked Yautja arrives to collect their comrade's body. Their leader, an elder Yautja, gives Harrigan an antique flintlock pistol. That's a mouthful right there. Antique flintlock pistol, especially if you say it like that. That is engraved with a Raphael Adolini, 1715, on a brass plate as a reward for killing the Yautja. And this, little nugget Easter egg type thing would go on and plague the fans of the Predator franchise up until 2022. But anyways, as the ship takes off, Harrigan escapes to the surface and meets with Keyes' team. Pretty much, well, what's left of Keyes' team, I suppose. I think there's like two survivors, and which Baldwin, or I know it's not like it was the dude from
Adam Baldwin.
yeah, from Chuck, right? Like a
Yeah.
young before Independence Day as well,
Casey.
right? And what's his name from Firefly?
Oh, he was
Jane?
in Firefly.
Jane? Was it Jane?
I don't remember. Probably. I never really
Man,
watched the
that
show, and I've only seen Serenity like a couple of times,
nah,
but I do like
Fox ruined that.
Serenity.
Yeah, Fox ruined that. But anyways, despite their lost opportunity to capture the creature in the end, Harrigan privately muses that the Yautjas will return. And that is the plot synopsis for Predator 2.
Very nice.
Thank you,
Very
thank you.
thorough. Very well said. Much appreciated. So, plot synopsis out of the way. Robert, what
Yes.
worked for you?
For me, I liked. Uh, so here's the thing with Predator. I know Predator 2 gets. I think people are now coming back to it, and I think they're enjoying it a lot more now than they probably did upon its release. Because while it got some decent reviews, I think overall it didn't, I guess, get the love that the first one, at least in terms of the audience. Because I don't think the critics reviewed the first one as well as people think or whatever. But at least at the time of its release, right? I could be
Yeah.
mistaken, but um, for this one, I think this one did exactly what a sequel should do. Like it takes a kind of a simple formula, and it not only kind of rehashes it, but in a decent way. It also kind of adds to it. So where I kind of what didn't work for me in the previous film was, and we probably didn't need it in the previous film, but I like the lore expansion for this one, and it mostly came towards the end where we got like the trophy kill room,
Yeah.
where with the Yautjas like prizes, and this is where we get the xenomorph skull, and again that would go on to plague fans of the both franchises for I don't know 14 years until
Decades.
APP. Yeah, I know the comics I think crossed it over a lot sooner than that, but man, can you just imagine being a fan of both the Alien and Predator franchises in like the late 80s, early 90s, and you see a Xenomorph score, like almost one of the first like universe sharing between two like almost unrelated franchises. So it must
Yeah.
have been kind of a treat. Um, but I do like the expansion of the lore for the Yautja. So that for me that's always the interesting part, especially it's yes, it's the human element, because you always like to see how the humans are going to overcome these creatures who are bigger, stronger, they got technically advanced weaponry, where it almost kind of seems unfair. And I think it's like a social commentary on big game hunting, in real world society, right? Like we're hunting these animals, they don't know we're hunting them, but we have far more sophisticated weapons than a lion or like a zebra has, or what, it doesn't really matter. But and it's almost like, yeah, okay, these Yautja have a code, but do they? Like,
Yeah.
you have a cloaking device, right? Um, but I like the settings subversion as well. Like, it thinks we're gonna be like, that's what it goes back to. It kind of seems like it's gonna set us right back in the jungle again, or it's gonna pick up right where it left off. But nope, it sets us into like an urban setting, so we get like an urban jungle, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think initially this film was gonna be set in New York,
Yes.
but I think they got like more tax breaks in for shooting it in Los Angeles. So I mean, it is, it's what I mean. I think I think obviously New York's more of an urban jungle than Los Angeles, but I think overall, I think the setting worked for that, and I like that it's set a little bit in the future where I think that probably had to be retooled because I know they were planning on Arnold coming back, but when that all happens, they probably had to retool the script or something like that. So they probably just shifted gears a little bit. So that's like a nice little change of pace because again, you don't want to do a complete like reimagining or just doing the first one and then just going like whatever. You kind of have to change it up a little bit. Um, but that's for my main points of what I really liked about this, and obviously the cast, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know Danny. I mean, I love Danny Glover. I mean, the guy. Even I don't even know how old he was in the filming of this, but he perpetually looks 55 ever since Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
So I mean, when was Lethal Weapon? Like maybe in what was it? Mid 80s or
80s,
something like
dude.
something. Yeah, and
80s.
then all the way to like Angels in the Outfield, he still looked exactly the same. So we actually believed him when he's like, I'm getting too old for this shit, right? So, but again, I think he's just an actor that always looked older than what he was, but he's still like when he got it when he's still looking pretty jacked, right?
Oh
And
yeah. Oh, he's
yeah, I
jacked in
mean,
this movie, dude.
yeah. So I mean, and Bill Paxton is he played that young cocky thing like he did in Aliens. So that role fit. I think he was a little typecast for that coming off of Aliens, but but other than that, I mean, I could probably go on, but for them, I think those are the main points for me on what did work for this. So how about you? What worked?
Yes. So to answer your question a second ago, 1987 for Lethal Weapon.
Okay,
Which man, it feels earlier than that. Like it feels
it
like
really
85 or
does.
84, especially with that. We're gonna talk about Lethal Weapon one day. We're gonna talk about
Oh
that
yeah,
whole thing
100%.
one day. So what works for me? Like I said previously in the first one, the runtime. An hour and 49 minutes. That's all a movie like this needs to be. This does not
Yep.
need to be 2.5 hours with, 17 different, oh, we're going to travel, set pieces, 17 different set pieces where we're going to travel the world and do like all this stuff. Is like, no, it's contained and they keep it in LA. They use the hell out of the R rating, and I appreciate that
Yes,
so
I do. I
much.
actually read it. Almost got an NC-17
It actually
or
was
rated X
originally.
or whatever it was
It,
before.
it
Yeah, because I
was
know it
since
wasn't. Yeah,
yeah. So it was an NC-17 originally. You can definitely tell.
they had to cut
But
like
it was recut and resubmitted
yeah.
17 times. But it was the first film to ever receive an NC-17, which I think
Yeah.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, because I know the rating got switched, right? It used to be rated X, and then I think they switched it. Yeah, probably around this time, I think.
Yeah, because it was X and then NC-17. It was right when this was coming out. So this was the first movie to be slapped with it, and then it had to be recut. I love the opening scene, especially with the reporter just talking, about what's going on, and just she's like, "Oh fuck this, get me out of here." Very
Dude,
RoboCop,
that
very
that and that
RoboCop.
info, yeah, that info or whatever that guy is that's just like just
It was
spreading the
the hard
FUD or like the
copy
yeah,
ripoff.
yeah, just
Yeah.
going off.
It's
And
very
even in the scenes
RoboCop.
where he's not in, like in the background scenes where you see like a bunch of monitors, you can still see clips on it. So it's like
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they filmed so much, and they're just like, be cool, just
but
have like deleted scenes of just
yeah, but that's what makes it so good. Like it's just
yeah,
like you said, I really like that they lean into stuff in this one. Like you said, instead of just rewriting it, like okay, let's just cookie cutter, same thing we did in the first
yeah.
one. They borrow elements from the first one, but in this one they
Mhm.
just like it's the equivalent of the mowing down a freaking jungle with every single gun, using every single bullet to mow it down, the ridiculousness of raiding the compound and stuff like that to rescue the soldiers. It's that level of ridiculousness and cheesiness that they do in this one, but they institute it with gang war and stuff like that. And it's like I said, it works
Yeah.
in this setting. When the Colombians start grabbing all the coke and throwing it on their face, come and get it, El Scorpio is ready, and he's just like turning red. It's my favorite. And then the guy just lifting up the case and just like,
Yeah. It just reminds me of just like when Deadpool shoves it and just goes boom or whatever.
yeah.
Just so he's like, well, I'm going out. Let's go, guys. I'm not gonna feel any pain.
Yes, and like you said, the cast is a big thing. Danny Glover shaking off Lethal Weapon. Speaking of Lethal Weapon, Captain Murphy from Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, oh yeah, his captain, yeah.
Steve Kahan. He's in the opening scene with him. I knew this a couple of years ago. I didn't know if you knew this. He was actually Richard Donner's cousin.
Oh really?
Which is why he showed up like in a lot of stuff.
Just randomly, yeah. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Like you said, the opening with Mike breaking the door off is very Lethal Weapon 2 with his wife's car just like slowly getting disintegrated as the movie progresses. Let's see. Like you said, Bill Paxton, I miss you, buddy. I miss him so much.
Yeah,
he does have a great line that gets stuck in my head all the time, and it's when it's in the bar. Hey, do you mind? It's my sister. Oh, you're not my sister, are you? Like it's that Bill Paxton charm, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, he goes from playing a character like this to Simon in True Lies, like completely different to Bill and Twister. So it's just, God, I miss him so much, man. Let's see, what else did I have? Gary Busey is Peter Keyes. I wonder if that was inspired Halo for the character of Keyes, or at least the name. Because I know Halo, God, I remember the first time I played Halo, I was like, oh my God, there's so many references to like the 90s movies and stuff like that.
It's very possible.
And apparently this was his first movie after his motorcycle accident.
Really?
Yeah, so you can't really tell, but I know that.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in his later stuff, Entourage.
For sure. Got any corned beef?
Yeah. Now, I do wonder if Maria Conchita Alonso was cast when Arnold was still being shopped for lead, since they were both in Running Man together. So that does make me wonder if that was going to be a reunion for them, and that's how they got her. Like, okay, yeah, Arnold's coming back. Let's have her in there together as well. Stephen Hopkins is a director. I love a lot of his movies. I love Blown Away. I don't know if you've ever seen that one with Tommy Lee Jones and Jeff Bridges.
I have not, no.
Check that one out. That one's like 90s action thriller. Like, I don't want to say in the vein of Speed, but that same feeling you get when you watch Speed, where it's just like, oh damn, like what's gonna happen next? Really crazy movie. And The Ghost in the Darkness. Freaking, that was a big movie for me growing up. With Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas hunting murderous lions. And Stephen Hopkins also helped design the Predator's new weapons with Stan Winston. So we have them both to thank. And then there was another guy that helped as well, but we have them to thank for, setting the foundation of everything we see moving forward in the future of these movies, with the spear, with the net, with like every other weapon that comes into play. Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator. Always, there is no Predator without him. Shout out to Harry and the Hendersons. Again, another huge part of my childhood. And let's see. So Ruben Blades, for as long as he's in it, I did want to see more of him. I hate that we lose him, pretty quick in the movie, but you do have to have that, like, we're sort of ripping out the heart of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Stakes.
You got to have the stakes, and you got to have the motivation.
Yeah. Speaking of stakes and motivation, that sex scene, dude, just how it leads into it.
Just
just the
gratuitous and just
yes, just the sounds, and then how it's like slowly getting louder, but it's also cutting in like closer and closer to the building. And I love that it's like echoing too. It's just so again, it this movie reminds me so much of RoboCop, like so much of it. The Predator's arsenal of weapons, love it. The practical effects, ugh,
yes.
like oh my god. The score, Alan Silvestri returns. I love the alley scene when the Predator jumps down and he's walking towards King Willie. Just like
Yeah.
it's that slow. I love the shot where you just see his foot like in the water, and you
And
never
the
see him. You
cloaking,
just yeah,
yeah, the
you just
cloaking
see the
device kind of,
reflection.
yeah.
Yeah, how it's like slowly coming out, and then you don't see him though. Like I like that it's just the reflection in the water. It's like we're still keeping him a secret. And then just that scream to the shot of King Willie's head. Ah! He's just like
Yeah. It would, yeah.
yeah. The cemetery scene I like too. You know, he's ready to kill that kid, and I'm for it.
Oh yeah.
Want some candy?
They won't go
Um,
there.
Hey, they get close though. Like you said earlier, the subway car scene, everyone pulling their guns out, including the passengers. Like it's really good. The slaughterhouse scene, very aliens, especially with
Yes.
the whole team getting wiped out. The Predator's line, "Shit happens," when he proceeds to start the bomb. He's like, "We're going to hell tonight." The apartment scene after he's in there and he's like making the stuff in the sink, and when Mike runs in, he's like, "It's all right, I'm a cop." I don't think he gives a shit. Like that, just the delivery, and again, like I said, the practical effects. Like
Yeah.
just it
Yeah.
just
Of
it
course.
works, man. But yeah, I mean, as far as what worked, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that worked for me in this. A
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Now, having said that, what didn't work for you?
Before I get started, I was gonna say, how much do you think, in terms of the urban setting of this film, was sort of influenced by like, because this movie came out after Tim Burton's Batman with Gotham and being this kind of like neo noir in terms of setting. So how do you think they had like some kind of effect on? Because we're this movie is made in the '90s, but we want to set it in the future, but not too far. So it's like '97, but it still has this like kind of this
Dystopian feel.
gritty, yeah, like I feel like that, like the 1989 Batman kind of set up some of the '90s in terms of doing, like, making the movies far more like, I don't want to say dark, like not darker in terms of like overall tone, but just like grimy, like just
Like the
how the
setting.
aesthetic, like the
Yeah.
aesthetic, right, of it overall. Like I think that film kind of transitioned it just a little bit. And I was kind of getting some of the vibes again with that. The alleyway was perfect, right? Just with that scene alone, I was getting some of that, like, just aesthetically more Burton Gotham than I was with, like Los Angeles in general, right? Because even reading some of the stuff behind the making of it, where they're like, oh yeah, we were like, we were shooting in this alley and we
They're
saw like
going.
big rats. There's even like an urban legend about finding bodies or something.
I
And I was
believe
like,
it.
geez, that sounds like Gotham actually.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So
I just was thinking of that like earlier when we were gonna, you know, do this rundown of this movie, and I was just like, I don't know if it had any kind of influence or whatever, but
yeah, that's a good question. So you got the way I look at it, and that's one of the things I love about '80s movies. The aesthetic, like you said. One, you got to remember this movie was made in 1990. So we're
yep,
still, even though like we're setting the movie in the future, you still have that setting and that feel of the 80s, which the 80s, like we talked about in the previous episode with Predator, it was sweaty, it was steamy, it was like
yep,
dirty, like
like
grimy, like it was
the
like you
yeah,
can like it's just it was a
you
feeling.
could see the humidity in the
Yes,
jungle.
yes. And when I think about that, especially as you brought that up, the one thing that always comes to mind is the first Terminator when Michael Bihn's character Reese, when he first gets there and he's in that alleyway, and it's dark and grimy. You see, in an alleyway in the '80s, there's always water coming down off the building for some reason, and it always reminds me of when I'm at work because we have an alleyway where we keep our trash cans and stuff where we fill them up. And whenever I go out there, especially like if it's like a rainy day, we have like this AC unit that'll leak and stuff like that, and you
Yeah.
just hear the water dripping, and I feel like I'm in an '80s movie every time I'm in that alleyway, and I hear it. But that's what I equate to it. It was just it was the time. I mean, the '80s was a weird period. I mean, I didn't grow up in it, but I grew up with surrounded by people who did. So that's what influenced a lot of my childhood. So I grew up with a lot of '80s culture, '90s culture. So it's like I had a foot in both worlds, but because I was raised and I was around those individuals so much, like I was exposed to it, so it felt like I grew up with it. But I've always loved that aesthetic. I've always loved that '80s aesthetic. And especially like you said, it's very like '80s noir, '80s neo noir.
Yeah.
If it's not a
Yeah.
term, we just coined it right now. TM.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, it's that feeling. It's that like it's how we talk about the setting of like the setting of movies, like a city, where the city is a character. And that's what I like about this one is LA feels like a playground. You're going
Hmm.
through and seeing all this stuff, and it's sort of like how they do New York with Last Action Hero, where it's dirty, it's grimy, like it's stuff like that. It's that same aesthetic of, yeah, this is what the real world is. It's grimy, it's dirty. Like people, you're gonna get mugged. You never know when. Someone's always carrying a gun on them. Like it's just that way of life. But yeah, as far as what Burton's was, I mean, I definitely think it was influenced with the '80s because that's the cool thing about that movie is that amalgamation of the '80s with the German expressionism that he really liked.
Yeah.
So seeing the statues and just the way that the buildings are laid out in the architecture, but then you introduce the element of the '80s, and perfect example is the opening scene of that movie is
Yeah.
they're all dressed up like it's the 1950s and whatnot, but then you're cutting, and when you look at the background characters, it's like the 80s. You got the music playing like it's the 80s, but they're dressed like it's the 40s or something like
Yeah.
that. So it's that cool amalgamation. But yeah, I mean, if Burton's Batman had an effect on it, maybe, but I feel like it was just the '80s aesthetic. It was just that
Yeah.
feeling, and it again. I think RoboCop influenced this movie a lot because it's camp. Like it's camp, but it doesn't lean too far into satire.
Yeah.
It like toes that line because it could, but it doesn't ever really do so. But yes, I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about it because I don't know why that movie was the first one that came to my mind because I think it may have just been because the release windows were like a year apart, and I'm just like and I
Yeah.
mean for this one I know they didn't film this movie. It didn't take like 6 months to film. I think they filmed it pretty quickly, and I imagine they had
I
to
think
kind
it was
of
3 months or
retool.
something like that.
Yeah,
It was a
so I
short
mean,
window, really
yeah,
short.
um,
But it looks
but I don't
good
know
for
why
how
that
short
movie.
they did it, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was. Which I guess we can kind of bring. Like, I honestly don't have too much that I don't think that would work. I mean, I honestly think what work or what doesn't work for most people. I mean, we kind of already talked about like I was brushing up on some of what this some of the main criticisms at the time for this movie, and I'm like going through and I'm like, this is what I loved about the movie, right? So, I mean, I can kind of maybe see where they're like the biggest one, is the comparing the main characters, but I mean, you got two different, settings, two different, characters, and I mean, I can kind of see like, Danny Glover's. I mean, while I believe he's a superior actor overall than Arnold, I mean, Arnold's like a specimen, right? So, I mean, I don't even think it was fair for the Predator at this point for it to go up against Arnold. Um, but again, I think that's the what's lost on, you know, with these movies just to begin with, and we'll talk about more of this later on with like when we get into like Prey and all that stuff. But it's never about who's stronger or who's faster. It's about who's more cunning. You know, the who has more like ingenuity. Like, you know, we're talking about like, you know, smarts now, right? Who's gonna outsmart their opponent in the end? And that's what I think Danny Glover brought more to this role. Like, yeah, you have Arnold in his like his survivability, right? Like, you know, his years and being, I think he was a Vietnam vet and whatever, but he became like, you know, probably private sector type of rescue military, right? Or whatever it was that he was doing. So, you know, he's got that experience, but Danny Glover doesn't have, or, you know, Harrigan doesn't have that. He's an NYPD or LAPD, excuse me, about you know, he's a cop, right? He's a detective. I don't think he had
Street
much of a
smarts.
backstory. Yeah, I don't think he had much of a backstory in terms of was he a war veteran or whatever like that. I don't think they even brought that up. So I mean, for this one, he has to rely on, like you said, his street smarts or his, you know, his cunning, his what he's learned to basically outsmart his opponent, who is in every way better than him. So I mean,
Hmm.
I think that's what's lost, and that's what makes, you know, at least Harrigan stand out more than Dutch for me, is because while it is believable for, you know, Dutch, I think Danny's Glover or Harrigan's how he has to overcome his opponent, I think is far more. I don't want to say it's more rewarding, I guess, is the right
Hmm.
word. Because while people might say it's not believable, but I'm like, it's more rewarding because you find this character, he is more of an underdog than Schwarzenegger, right? And who do people love to root for? An underdog. So, you know, I'm looking at like a lot of the like I don't want to say, you know, criticisms, but you know, it can be a positive criticism, right? But again, everything that they were nitpicking on for this movie, I'm like, I mean, I get if I had to go into it. What made the first Predator, I think, stand out is the suspense, right? Because, you know, we don't see the creature until almost towards the end. So we know something is stalking these people, but so that suspense, it's like it kind of builds up, and it culminates again to, you know, masterful creature design in the end. But we already know what a Yautja looks like in this point. So I think with that, the reveal, you know, the suspense is a little lacking in terms of this one. But again, when you already reveal the creature in the first one, it's kind of hard to build that up again. So, while they did, you know, their best, kind of, you know, covering up what it is. I mean, you were never going to recapture that suspense magic from the first one to this one. But again, it's to me, it's no big deal, in my opinion. It's all about the final culmination between, you know, our lead protagonist and antagonist. In which case, you know, I think this one delivered towards the end. But again, that's probably my main, you know, gripe or whatever it is about that. Is just I don't know. Maybe there could have been other ways to build up that tension, but I mean, you were just never going to recapture that specific type of tension from the first one, or the suspense of to the like the creature reveal. But you know, that's just me nitpicking at this point. But how
Nitpick,
about you?
nitpick away.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was like my, because other than that, like my earliest, so I know the first time I ever, I guess, watched this film, I know we've talked about it, is, I mean, it was on TV, right? I never had HBO growing up, so it had to have been on a broadcast, whatever. So I'm sure all the good parts were cut out. You know, the penthouse scene.
Yeah, most definitely.
But I remember two scenes specifically from this movie when I watched it. I guess it had to have been in the mid '90s. I don't even know when. But it was the car scene when he, you know, backs up and knocks the door off, and I'm like, just as a kid, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool, right? And then he's like hanging out, firing his gun. I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's typical action, you know, just straight cheeseball action, right? And then it was the flintlock at the end. Like I remember specifically that pistol. I mean, I
Yeah.
remembered it more of a as a traditional. I don't know if it was like not necessarily a flintlock, but more like a, like I guess a Civil War type. I don't know. I it's a
Yeah,
lot
that
older, obviously, right? I remember the gun a little bit different, but I remember Danny Glover being handed a gun. Um, but those are the two scenes that I remember specifically. I have no idea why I brought that up, but just wanted to throw that out there. I feel like I
no,
was going somewhere with it, but I don't remember as I started talking about it.
No, no, you're good, man.
Yeah.
No, and the same thing. Yeah, that is what we talked about off air. I don't remember if we ever mentioned it in the first Predator, but yeah, the same experience. I saw this movie on TV. It was on Fox because, like, just like you, I didn't have cable growing up,
Yeah.
so five basic channels is all we had. So on Fox, what they would do on Saturdays and Sundays during the day, if it wasn't football season, what they would do is they would play, old school Fox movies, 20th Century Fox movies. So that's how I saw this movie for the first time. That's how I saw Commando for the first time. And yeah, the same thing is I remember this movie watching it on TV and the whole thing, like during the commercial breaks, they'd be like, Predator 2 starring Danny Glover. We'll be right back. And then it would just show like a still from the movie and then it would go back to commercials. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's, just remembering the end, him, getting the gun and whatnot, and just remembering the apartment scene is what I remember to him, hanging off the side with the pipe and stuff like that. That's another thing I remember from it. But yes, as far as what didn't work for me, I'm in the same boat with you where it's mine's more on the technical side and it's very few, very very few. So the CGI does look pretty bad, but again, it's the early 90s. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't I don't expect it to be, groundbreaking and stuff cuz Jurassic Park isn't out just yet.
Right. And I
But
think that they had the same budget as the first one for this one too. So if you're gonna go bigger and grander with the same budget, something's gonna have to sacrifice a little bit.
yeah, speaking of the ending, the ending is pretty fast. It just ends. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it does.
it
Yeah.
keeps in vein with the first one, but I don't know, like I feel like I wanted just maybe a little bit something more with the ending, but it just feels like very abrupt. Or it's like boom 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 boom. Like cuz all of a sudden like he's in the apartment and then he's in the elevator shaft. Then all of a sudden he's on top of the ship. Then he's in the ship. Then he's running out of the tunnel. Like it's just a lot happens. So just some
Yeah.
general notes that I took. Like you said, set in 1997, filmed in 19 or released in
Hmm.
1990, probably filmed in 89
Probably like
or
89,
towards
yeah.
the end. Just like Demolition Man, set in the future, filmed earlier. One of my favorite movies. The craziest trivia that I read, and again, when it comes to IMDb trivia, it's the Wild West. Who knows what's true? Who knows what's not? But
Yeah.
it was towards the top, so that usually tells me that it's, pretty true. But the craziest trivia that I read was that Stephen Hopkins talked to Steven Seagal about starring, but Seagal wanted to play a CIA psychiatrist that knew martial arts, which is on brand for Seagal.
Of course.
Dude, and then just hearing about like the possible castings, Patrick Swayze was almost in it, but he hurt himself on Roadhouse. So,
Oh,
man, what could have been? Arnold was busy
right.
with Kindergarten Cop because he wanted to focus on his other projects. And had he done this one, Kindergarten Cop wouldn't have happened. And Kindergarten Cop is, I don't want to say it's my favorite Arnold, but it's up there. It's one of my favorite Arnold movies.
Yeah.
Uh,
I remember
and
watching that a bunch when I was a kid.
yeah, oh yeah, dude. And John Lithgow was almost Keys, which we would have had that Harry and the Hendersons reunion, and I would have been okay with that too. And John McTiernan turned it down to direct Hunt for Red October. So again, like these are another movie from my childhood that was pretty big. So it's just crazy to think like what we could have
Right.
had. But in a way it works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, that's pretty much all that didn't work for me. So, having said that, what do you give this out of 10?
I also just read Stephen Hopkins directed The Dream Child, Nightmare on Elm Street part three.
Yes.
I think
Was
was
it
it
his
part three?
first movie, I believe? Yes,
Was The
it's
Dream
the third
Child?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the third one's my favorite besides the first one. Or no, The Dream Child is number five. Which one's the
Oh, we're
third one?
thinking Dream
Because
Warriors. We're thinking Dream
yeah,
Warriors.
that's good. That's confused. Okay, I like the third one, but the Dream Child's not bad either. But I do the third one is my second favorite besides the first one. Anyways, um, Yeah, that one kind of skips, right? It's two's bad for it's like the Transform live action Transformer movies for me.
Yeah. Okay.
First, third, and fifth.
Honestly,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so
In
out of
that order
10,
too.
so I mean, having said all of that, what I did, and I mean, honestly, and again, like I know for some reason people like roasted this movie. I think it's now getting a lot more appreciative as time goes on because I think this movie ages far more than it probably did. I think people were just expecting, Arnold to come back and,
Yeah.
it just kind of being the same old, you know, rehash of the first one. Yeah, so I think people were more disappointed, you know, this time around with this one. Um, but honestly, man, I might have enjoyed this film on this uh that we're doing this rewatch. I think I might have enjoyed this one more than the first one. I mean, I don't know. Like in terms of overall enjoyment, I think so. But I can see from a movie standpoint, the first one, the pacing's a little bit better. I mean, the story is pretty bare and basic. There's not much character development in the first one, but like I said, I've always said I could see why people enjoy, especially if that was your first entry into the series, and everybody growing up in the '80s, like that was the '80s like machismo type of,
Freaking.
again, just yeah, exactly. Um, so all of that, but like I said, for this one, I like this one because it brings in more of that lore to this franchise, and I'm glad it does. And it just kind of sucks we didn't get like more movies after this one.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to anything development wise after it. I haven't read up on it. Um, but for my rating out of 10, I think I'm just gonna slot it in line with the first one and give it a 7 out of 10. I think, which is what I gave the first one. So I'm gonna go 7 out of 10 as well because it does everything you want a sequel to do, and it does a little bit more. But at the same time, I can see it's just like right there. Like it does stuff better, but at the same time, it doesn't quite measure up just tech like you said, technical wise, or for me it's that tension. Like, yeah, I know it's an action film, so you're not expecting some suspense or like I guess like a an alien style tension, build up. um but I think the first one does it, obviously being the first one does it a lot better. So I mean, first one does some stuff better than this one. This one does some stuff better than the first. So I honestly think it's a lot closer than some people might actually believe. So I'm going 7 out of 10.
Nice. Nice.
How
So
about you?
I am in the same boat with you as well. So like I said, I really enjoy this movie, and then just hearing what you just said right now, it does everything that the first one does in the sense of it takes what's there and it cranks it up as high as it can. So the first one with the gore, with the practical
Mm-hmm.
effects, with the over the top action, it cranks it up. With this one, it does the same thing. It cranks up the story, it cranks up the violence, it cranks up, like the kills, like everything. So that's exactly why it runs neck and neck, because it's doing the same exact thing. And I'm not talking story wise, I'm talking, overall, what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's just taking it to that next level. Because, like you said, it's a sequel. It needs to go higher. So again, I really enjoyed this movie. We talked about how we watched it on TV as a kid. I didn't appreciate it then as much as I do now. But again, it's very over the top, but it's what's needed after the first one. It leaned into it in all the right ways. I like that they used the backdrop of the gangs in LA, at war, and the city trying to combat all the crime. It's the perfect playground for the Predator to have fun in. And
Yeah.
honestly, we're never gonna see a movie like this again. It would be
No.
nice, but for something like this now, it would just be a parody of itself. It would
Yeah.
be like, was it like that kung fu movie where it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's over the top, but you're aware that it's over the top, but it's almost like it's towing that line of parody versus like, oh man, this is like, oh yeah, this could sort of happen in real life. Now
Yeah,
it's
because I
like,
mean, there was gang wars in LA going on, I believe, at least
Yeah, there
in
still
the
are.
early 90s. Yeah. And then you had all that stuff going on, and then so I mean, it was kind of set against that backdrop, but I know that it wasn't the same gangs. It was different gangs, but you had all that going on, and just set little in the future. So you had that backdrop. So I think at the time people could relate. I mean, yeah, was it probably a little over the top? Probably. I don't know. I wouldn't. I was like, I was a toddler then.
This many.
Yeah. He was this mini.
But yeah, so having said that, out of 10, I'm giving it a 7.5.
Ooh.
So same rating that I gave the first one. Like I said, it's different, but in all the right ways. But I look at it like a race or like a horse race. They're neck and neck, like right there. They're parallel, just on the same track. But now let's switch to your brainchild, Robert. The tier list. Where is Predator 2 going for you?
All right. So I think we honestly probably backed ourselves both in a corner, ranking them, giving them the same rating. And honestly, I might have even kind of regret giving both of them a 7. I think I might have actually want to revisit and give it maybe a little higher ratings, but it is how it is for now. And I said 7, so I'll stick by it. But I think I might have been a little, you know, too harsh on the actual number out of 10. But for this one, this is where it's going to get interesting because I mean, they're the same, out of 10 score. So do I rank this one, you know, before or after the first one? And again, it's kind of hard because I think, oh man. So here's the thing. Like I said before, this one does what it takes from the first one. And like you said, it cranks it up. So it does a lot of things better or more than the first one, but it also has a few things that maybe the first one does, better. So I guess it's going to come down to if I had to pick which one I had to rewatch first, that's where I think is going to be the tiebreaker. So if I had to decide, gun to my head, you're going to watch Predator or Predator 2, which one am I watching, you know? And I think I would watch Predator 2 again before Predator. Again, both great films. You know, I think Predator 2 gets an unfoundly bad rap. I don't know why. Again, I know people are starting to come around. At least I'm seeing it a little bit from the couple posts I've seen online. But I think if I had to rewatch a film, like if you said, "Hey, you have to rewatch one of these two films right now, which one are you going to do?" Or something bad's going to happen, I'd probably pick Predator 2.
All right.
Yeah. I might have upset a lot of our fans or people who might stumble upon this video because I know, like I said, I know there's a lot of people that holds that first one in such high regard, and I told, like I always say, I get it, but I mean, and again, maybe I'm getting a little prey bias because they bring back that pistol, right? So it kind of makes this movie have a little bit more relevance, and it kind of uplifts it just a little bit because we're starting to see some little breadcrumbs of like things tying in, and I'm always a sucker for that. Like even if it doesn't, like we still got just that callback, which is nice. It might not even tie in. I mean, we do see the pistol again, I believe in Killer of Killers, but it's just a simple little thing. It doesn't have to lead to anywhere, but it's like a nice little callback. I think it's an Easter egg done right. It's not just shoehorned, like, when we're talking about bringing it
Yeah.
back and pray,
Key
right?
jingling.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's just like, hey guys, remember this? Now go watch Predator 2 because, that movie is far superior than you guys remember.
Yeah.
So I think just what Dan Trachtenberg now is doing now with these films, I think he's going to be calling back to like everything, and you can see he loves that franchise. So I think it kind of uplifts Predator 2 a bit.
All right.
How about you?
So I'm in that
I'm
same boat.
curious. I'm curious. Yeah.
Like, gun to my head, and I mentioned this on the first one. I love the first Predator, but I have to be in the mindset and mood to watch
Yeah.
that movie, because it does kind of feel like a slow burn, because there's a lot of just, it's a lot of waiting for stuff to happen. And when it happens and it hits good. But like you said, gun to my head, if I had to choose which one I had to watch again first, I would pick Predator 2 over Predator. So I'm actually in agreement with you.
Ooh.
And, like you said, it's about what is it that's going to take it to that next level, but it's still entertaining. And for me, I'm always about a story. And I feel like there's a better story in Predator 2. But again, that's my preference. Like, I just have
Yep.
more fun with Predator 2 than I do with the first Predator. That doesn't mean it's less than. They're actually neck and neck. It's like we've talked about before, where if we had to lay them on top of each other, they're on the same level. If
Yeah.
we were to break this down to B plus, B or B minus, these would both be B pluses. I rate them both
Yep.
the same. I just have a little bit more enjoyment from the second one. And I think they do it right. I think it's what you want from a sequel. And I will say this now. I wanted to save it for our video on the summer recap, but I'll give you a little taste of one of the movies I saw that did this well. And I'm really curious to see what people say. I enjoyed the hell out of Megan 2.0. I enjoyed the hell out of Megan 2.0. That
Okay.
is how you do a sequel. And we talked about it when we did the trailer reaction months and months ago for it. Is it can go one of two ways. You either advance the story and continue on with what you had before and just do a repeat, or you lean into the campiness the right way. And if you lean into it enough to where it doesn't go, oh, we went too far, which there was a movie I watched recently, which I will say for that video as one of the worst movies I saw this year, that did go too far. But I feel like Megan 2.0 hit it perfectly. And that's what I think about this is that, you either do a rehash of what you did with the first movie, or you take what worked and just crank it up and lean into that campiness, lean into that ridiculousness. And the cool thing about both of these movies is they give you characters that you root for, that you want them to win. You go on the journey with them. You're discovering this as they're finding it out too. Like you said earlier, yeah, the reveal of the Predator, you already shot your shot in the first one. So in the second one, it's not that big of a surprise, but we're learning more about the world
Yep.
from that, and we're with these characters. So when the stuff does happen to them, it hurts. It hurts to see these characters go. Like
Yeah.
I said earlier, it hurts to see Danny go. It hurts to see Jerry go, because it's like I want to I want to continue going on this adventure with them, but like you have to have stakes, and that's what this
Yeah.
movie has. It has those stakes.
And I
So
think
yeah,
with Bill Paxton's character, like he kind of, when you first meet him, he's introduced as like, that hot shot, whatever, that's just going to be like maybe a prick throughout the whole thing, and you're just going to hate it and you're just going to love, because he's probably going to get it, and he's probably going to end up dying in this film, and you're just going to love it. But then as you get to know him, and he actually became a loyal member to the team, and then he actually goes out a hero, and you're just like, dang, like that's good character development for the character, because he comes in, you think the audience is going to think one thing, but then it kind of switches it around. He's actually the other thing, and then it sucks that he died in this film.
yeah. I will challenge that just a little, to where to what you said about him being a goofball throughout. There's one
Well, no, he's
moment
just he's
there. Yeah, yeah.
introduced
Oh,
as
oh, oh,
a
no, no,
hot
yeah,
shot. No, no, yeah, he's
yeah, but
introduced. When you introduce him, he kind of comes
yeah.
off as a hot,
Oh
like a hot
yeah.
shot prick. But then as the film progresses, it's like, hey, he's not like,
Well,
there's layers. He becomes a loyal member to the team, and
well,
he actually
yeah.
wants to fit in and do good for the sake of the team. And then he kind of goes out a hero.
But that's what I mean though, is that yes, we do that to where it's like, oh, he's earning his stripes and we're learning more, peeling back the layers, but it happens earlier in the movie than you think.
Yeah.
And it's the scene when they're in Mike's office, and he's like, "I give the talk to everyone," where he's already dressing him down like, "Oh, you're some hot shot, you're
Yeah.
trying to make a name," and then he has that moment where he's not, what we see him in the rest of the movie as, where he's being aloof and whatnot. He drops it, and you see serious Bill Paxton for a second.
Yeah.
He's like, "No, like I worked my way up for this. Like I'm not here to do this. Like I want to be here. Like I want
Yeah.
to make," and I love that.
Yeah, and
That's
then but then
that's
he
what cements
proves
his
it. He
character though. Yeah.
proves it as the
Oh
movie
yeah.
goes on. So then you're like, I
Yeah,
mean, anybody could say it. It's all about now. He's got
but
to
no, it's
prove
the
it.
way he emotes
Yeah,
it though, because like you believe him, and
yeah,
that's God. That's why I miss Bill Paxton so much, is because like you said, anybody could say that, but it's Bill Paxton delivering it. So like you buy it when you can see the shift
yeah,
in him, where he's like, okay, like I'm turning on, like no, like this is why I'm here. And then he's like, all right. And then he proved, like you said, then he proves it by
yeah.
actually doing it. And then, yeah, dude, it freaking hurt me when he dies in the subway. Like, not just once, but twice when you really think about it. It's just like the whole thing. I love that he picks up that ball and he just throws it at him, and it's just like, ah. But then we get that random scream too, like when his head's being pulled out from his body from the
Yeah.
predator. Like,
But hey, the Yautja felt he was a worthy opponent for him to keep his skull. So at least he was worthy of that.
always worthy in our hearts, Bill. We miss you.
If it's
But
any
yeah.
consolation
Yes.
to be
But
murdered by
yeah,
an alien, you were worthy.
you were always worthy. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, thank you all so much for watching. We greatly appreciate it. I had a lot of fun on this one. I'm pretty sure
Yep.
Robert did as well.
This one was
And
fun.
yeah, and there's still lots more fun to be had. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. And as Robert always says, get down in the comments. We want to hear from y'all. What do you think about the rankings so far? Will Robert's
Did we
fear
shock
become
you?
reality? Yeah, exactly. Do you agree with us? Do you feel like, hey, both great, but part two is just does it a little better? Or do you think we're wrong? We want to hear from you. Get in the comments. Robert, would you like to tell them what else we have going on and possibly tease the next episode?
The next episode. So yes, we have the first, as we said earlier, the first Predator movie live on the channel. So feel free to go check that one out. It's we're continuing this Predator rank series, and if you've noticed at the bottom of the screen here, we have AVP, the first AVP. We had to wait, like, I think, what, 14, 15 years between Predator 2 and AVP. So, we got that tease, and then they're like, sorry, fans, you got to wait almost a decade and a half. But yeah, next episode, AVP. But other than that, we have a bunch of other video reactions on the trailers. We got movies, shows, video games. We take user requests. We do have 2 user requests that we will get around to. So
We didn't forget
thank,
about y'all, guys.
thank
We
you for
got
being
y'all.
patient.
Before the end of the
We
year, I promise, I will make that declaration right now. Before the end of this year, we will have those
uh,
up for you.
But yes, if you have anything you might want us to react to, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And if you've been enjoying this Ring series, feel free to check out our other Ring series. We got Conjuring, Superman, and Mission Impossible. Go ahead and drop those links in the description, so you can just go ahead and click it. It'll take you to the playlist.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert, as always. Appreciate you, and we appreciate y'all as well. See you in the next one.
Scorpio is ready!